I wanted to ask you a question in regards to uh, infirmity that was caused by the cancer treatment. Would you please tell us whatever part you think would be the most educational for our viewers? What was it like to find that out and know that the cancer treatment. Actually, the both topics are so packed with information, so let's split this in two and take it one
Where do
at a
we even
time, please.
start?
Exactly. I want to start with the cancer treatment that you had to go through, and what was the? Is there any part of that you would do it differently, or you would recommend someone who's about to go through a cancer treatment? Any mental or tips or any helpful tips that you personally experienced you can pass on to the next person when you were going through the treatment?
Yeah, so I think because I mentioned before we'd got married and we were kind of half-heartedly trying for children. We weren't really that bothered, but we were kind of half-heartedly doing it. And then
Hmm.
when I got diagnosed, in that time for me being diagnosed and my husband arriving from work, do you remember I told you I was sat with the cancer specialist nurse?
Yeah.
We had a little chat. And because at the time we didn't know how advanced my cancer was, we kind of discussed the fertility issue because, she was telling me about various treatment options that might be given to me. And it kind of came up in conversation that I might have to have treatment that might potentially make me infertile. And I was like, oh, but we're trying for children. And of course, suddenly then it becomes my problem because I'm the one that's caused all this issue. And Matthew can still happily have children, but I now potentially can't give him any. And, I'm not saying that women are put on this earth solely to have children, because that's not really what I think. But, it's what distinguishes you from men, isn't it? It's what makes you feminine. And suddenly that thing that gives you your gender, if you want to go down that route, was suddenly going to be potentially taken away from me without any choice. So whilst I wasn't really that bothered if I had kids or not, to have that choice and option taken from me was quite well, it was. I don't think it was distressing, but it was quite overwhelming. And so I just take everything in my stride, really. And so I mentioned that I was quite keen to try and preserve my fertility. And amazingly, I think it has got better now, but amazingly, in gynecology cancers where potentially you might lose your fertility, there isn't that much. At the time, there wasn't that much support for it. But now women are surviving gynae cancers a lot more. The distress of being infertile, they would argue, is more stressful than their cancer diagnosis. So they really have to start looking at preserving women's fertility and men's fertility when they go for treatment. So we basically got referred on a fast track to a fertility specialist in a hospital in Manchester who solely deals with couples who are infertile because of either cancer or cancer treatment. So we went there and they said, they worked out when my menstrual cycle was, and they said, okay, we can do a fast track IVF course with you. We can put you on a fast track IVF course if you want to, and we can try, just see what we do, see what we get. So, because initially my consultant had said to me, go along. They might not be able to do anything because of the time scale, but just go anyway. And at least then you've tried everything you can. Because I think, I always said I'm going to come out the other side of this. And my husband's immediate reaction was like, no, it doesn't matter. I'm not that bothered about kids. I just want you to survive and be alive. And I said, well, no, because if at the end of all this, I'm still here, we might regret that we didn't do something to preserve our fertility. So we should go and do it. So I've got a lot of friends in the medical world because of my job as a nurse. So I chatted to a lot of people. I chatted to my friend's husband, who's an oncology consultant, not gynae, but anyway, and I chatted to him and I said, what do you think I should do? It might delay my treatment by a couple of weeks. What do you think I should do? And he said, well, and I knew myself, like, cancer is not great, right? But you're not going to really have that much of a difference in 2 weeks, really. So we agreed that if it's going to take any more than 2 weeks, we wouldn't have delayed my treatment, because I had my tumor was so big that I couldn't have surgery, so I had to have radiotherapy to the pelvis, which blasted all my ovaries, which is why I became infertile, because it basically put me into the menopause. And so he was like, well, you know, if it's gonna take longer than 2 weeks, I probably wouldn't bother and get onto treatment. So we had a chat. We spoke to quite a few friends that had gone through IVF, and we decided to just do it. So on that day, we left with a massive bag full of drugs, and we went home. And I just started the process of IVF, and then we swapped over halfway through, went to a private